There's a whole heap of great racing coming up on the horizon. And what a place to come to. Sparta, Kentucky. A track which, for all intents from what was last week and a very, very tight and technical oval, something a little bit more expansive, something a little bit more high speed, something a little bit more conducive to overtaking. This is what we've got in the offing. It is our 8th round of the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series, despite our graphic up top saying round 7. But we are here, of course, at Kentucky, and we're going to have some great racing action here. I'm Jake Sparey, bringing you all of the coverage of this championship, which is sponsored by Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture designers who manufacture using Formula One and motorsport inspired rapid prototyping technologies. That goes along with Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box as well. We are live with Crest Autosport TV via Facebook, via YouTube, and via Twitch as well. Welcome along. Do give us a like, a follow, or a subscribe, whichever platform that you are on, whichever way that you get your content to stay up to date with more amazing content brought to you by us. But where are we in terms of the season? Well, round 8 of 12. There are 2 drop rounds between rounds 1 and 11. And currently we find ourselves at Kentucky, round number 8. It's the final round of the Road Course Cup. Next time out at Laguna Seca, which then leads to Gateway, to Chicagoland, and then to the Indianapolis 100 to end proceedings overall, the 12th round on the 19th of April. So a lot to look forward to over the upcoming weeks, but Kentucky first and foremost is where we find ourselves today. And these drivers know that they are winning races and driving as quickly as they can for prizes here today. The winner of the series will win a fabulous prize provided by Apex Tracks, which is a sculpture of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to put up on their driver wall. On top of that, thanks to Uncle Luke's Sign and Sticker Shop, there will be plaque prizes provided to the top 3 drivers of the championship, as well as the winner of the Indianapolis 100. Still have the opportunity to join the series, even though we are very much mid to late season at this point in time. Any chance you have to get in on this series, get some laps and reps in for season number 4, pretty much the best time as any to get yourself up involved. Head over to crestautosport.com to make sure that happens, and as well as what goes on in terms of what is a regular race, qualifying, which is 2 laps solo, and then a 5-minute warm-up will take us to today's race of 100 laps worth of distance, an hour and 25 minutes on the clock. We should not need. So here's how practice is looking at the moment. Ollie Peters, currently the fastest driver out there at this point in time, and doing a very good job of things at the moment as we focus on Alfredo Morales in 4th position. He was your winner last time out, and well, how did last time out affect the championship standings? That is going to be something really interesting to keep in mind, and the gap did open up overall in terms of the championship. Thijs Barendregt now gets himself a little bit further clear. You can see here that gap of about 10 points on your screen with the 1 drop round included. You got Stroh currently in 2nd, and in 3rd position, Alex Everett. In terms of how overall points look right now, 173 to 152 to 141, with Ben Bennyworth, who would be in 4th position with those overall points, and then Leonardo Paletta, position number 5. So there is still a long way to go, and of course you cannot drop that final round, so everything could be still on the line later on in this season. So it's definitely not out of the realms of possibilities just yet. Let's keep an eye on the Teams Championship as well. These are the 2 driver team championships that we see. 221 for T&D. They have themselves a very slender margin up at the top overall right now, and that slender margin is just a 19-point gap. So that one is definitely looking like it could come down. ALP Motorsports improve up to 3rd position. They've still got a ways to go to get themselves right up there. 603 Autosport in 4th, and Next Gen in position number 5 at this point in time. So still work to be done. but we've got ourselves a really, really good chance to watch some amazing racing coming along. As we see in the wall, that's how quickly it can go wrong. Here's the weather conditions out there as well today. It is rather warm at this point in time. And when I say warm, 39 degrees track temperature, it's going to be a little bit of a battleground today to keep the cars working over the long stint. Expect a little bit of tyre deg that is going to see the times drop out there at this point in time. Do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for the couple of issues that we've got going on. We'll try and rectify them as best we possibly can. But right now, what we do know and what we do understand is that we are just about a minute away from bringing ourselves to qualifying. The solo effort that is going to be going forward, and it's going to be a very, very tough battle today to see who is going to put themselves up on front. There are a lot of drivers who want to push themselves to the absolute limit here today, knowing that they've got that road course race coming up. And we all know that road course races are a little bit different. Different drivers tend to find themselves up nearer the front of the field. So there's always a lot of difference. There's always room for shocks and surprises today. But today, of all days, could be the one where it brings itself together. Checkered flag, then, is out in practice. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be running on forward to this qualifying, and the qualifying order is going to be all about where you put yourself into position. Looks like we've got everything just about back by the looks of things right now. So let us bring together who needs to be. So drivers who are here today will have that opportunity to go out and qualify their cars, and that's dependent on, firstly, who's here. No David Whitehouse here today. So I mean Jamie Dory, who is in reverse championship order, going to go out first. So number 13 machine for Next Gen will be setting the pace here today. And that should be a really good opportunity then to really lay down a marker. This Kentucky circuit is incredibly fast. It's got these nice sweeping corners. Not much that you have to do in terms of steering, but you should see maybe one lap, potentially two. Either A, really quick, or B, use that first lap to really gear it up. Up in fifth gear then. Moving around through 1 and 2. Getting nice and low to the apron. Looking to try and just settle off with this opening lap. Charging through. You can see just how wide the circuit is in comparison to what we had last time out at Iowa. It's really tough, and that's a big slide. Goodbye to both laps then with that spin. As he flies through the infield, he'll invalidate both laps. And goodbye to any opportunities for Jamie Dory. Just losing it. Coming out then of turn number 4. And then sliding about. And that's what we see. So Patrick Linderboom is going to be out on track next. And you are fighting against the limits of grip. And that's going to be very much worth keeping in mind as everyone tries to put their laps together. You're always fighting for grip. You're always fighting, try and get the most out of the track. And that's just how quickly you can go from essentially setting the benchmark to not setting anything over the course of a very tough series like this one. The 603 Autosport driver then looks to make an opening attempt out on track. The Dutchman moving through 1 and 2, a little bit more in the middle of the road, trying to work out in 6th gear. A lot of drivers do tend to flick about between 5th and 6th from time to time. 6th is the, not necessarily the longer gear, but definitely allows for more stability out on track. Sometimes a little bit more scrubbing and engine braking around. So 24.612, the initial time set as Linderboom will now try and continue to make that charge here through 1 and 2 and towards 3 and 4. Once again, it's another case of just being smooth. You need to pretty much have the smallest amount of wheel movement. Went all the way up to the wall coming out of 4. That was enough to improve to a 24.445. So good enough for fastest at this moment in time. So good news there in terms of that. Up next then will be Steven de Grevelier, his 603 Autosport teammate out there. The Belgian looking to try and get things back on track as we take another little look through 1 and 2. And let's just listen into this opening lap. And there you can see that little flick between gears and just a tenth down on the opening lap. But this second lap should be a little bit more catered and geared up. So we'll see what the improvement's going to be. The two 603 Autosport cars battling together as they run through turns 3 and 4. Steven de Grevelier making the run to the line, and is short by about 100th of a second. So the finite margins in this series, de Grevelier will ultimately have to start a little bit behind. So that's definitely not good in the slightest. This now leaves the winner from last time out, Alfredo Morales, to put up his times on the board next. So he went from spinner to winner and got himself a huge haul of points, which he can be very, very happy and excited about. The question's going to be, how will this work out later on in the season? 24.395 immediately goes fastest, but now moving through towards 3 and 4 once again. Hopefully this could be the all-important lap that Morales needs. We were looking at the times as well in practice. No one going clear of a 24 flat. Barendregt was the fastest, and over the line a 24.265. So quicker than his practice time by about 100th of a second. Alfredo Morales looking very good then with that attempt out on track. Leaves now the iRacing team driver of Inigo Mardones. This Spanish team absolutely loves it, endurance, or not necessarily endurance racing, but the longer races that IndyCar races have to offer are always knocking about here and there in many different IndyCar leagues. And Mardones is one of their drivers here, running through 3 and 4 to gear up this opening laps finish. And we'll see how it goes over the line. It's 24.417, good enough for second fastest at the moment, but there is still that room for improvement at 350 clicks on the gun, moving through 1 and 2. And this should be a pretty good lap from Inigo, who is just driving about around the middle of the circuit, dealing with the limits of grip, keeping it nice and narrow to the line at 24.340. Good enough to go second fastest then with that time. So we'll start no better than second on the front row. Jeremy Pronk, nice to see him back out here racing again. He will definitely want this one to work. And can he find it at the right time over the course of this race? Number 52, the Dutch Sim Racing team. He knows that he is incredibly quick. He has the potential to go out there and be the fastest driver in the field. A 24.395 is a good starting basis for him. So what can you do to find that improvement? It is a 10th and 300th to move on to the front and be the new trend settles. Pretty even with Morales in practice. In qualifying, the 24.292, he's 300ths back, and as such Morales able to hold steady a quarter of a tenth of a second clear of the field at this point. Nigel Stock up next. A little controversial, the contact with Alex Everett, who wasn't happy with that on the final lap at Iowa, but Nigel Stock was racing incredibly hard for it, had the overspeed, and definitely wanted to try and get the response that is needed. Taking the big high line on this opening lap, trying to gear it up for that second attempt around the circuit. So here's the first lap, 24.835, not representative by any stage of the imagination. And what you'd say at this point is that Nigel Stock needs to be at his level best. He needs to find everything he possibly can to put that time together that moves him up nearer the front. He's got great race pace, And that's a 24.332. Jumps Inigo Mardones and moves up third fastest with that time. So not bad from Nigel Stock, who puts himself pretty much in the wheelhouse for potentially a good result today. First of the T&D cars out of championship contention now is Dave Steadman. And he wants to just try and find that form he had at the start of the season where everything looked great and he was finding the right results. But questions do need to be asked here about finding a little bit of a gap in the races, because he has struggled a little bit. He does need to find those results once again, and he comes through for that opening lap, a 24.515, bottom of the times at the moment in 7th position. Of course, Jamie Dory will not be able to set a representative time out there. So once again, to 3 and to 4, he will go. Dave Steadman looking to become the new benchmark. Alfredo Morales, the great qualifier he is going to put himself still in front. A single thousandth of a second. We got it tied on times here by our timing tower. Dave Steadman gets second ahead of Jeremy Pronk. So just about enough to hold on to the front row. But Ollie Peters is up next. A vital cog in the machine. The number 88 is to putting together the right mentality for the team's championship. He's got to find a good result here today. And Ollie Peters has been driving very well. Had a good attempt late on at Iowa. And if he can just recapture that form, he's got himself a really good chance here today to show what he is made of. 24.409, good enough for 6th fastest at this point. So can he find the magic and pull a 10th and almost a half at this point, a 10th and a third out of the back pocket? And I'm sure there is an opportunity out here for Ollie Peters. He crosses the line and he does not improve much. A 3.75 improves on time but not position. That'll be a little disappointing for number 88. He'll have a lot of work today around this long circuit. So a lot to figure out then for him. But Leonardo Paletta is up next, and he is 5th in the championship right now. He'll get himself up to speed. Let's listen in on the opening lap. .24.385 to start, so goes 7th fastest does Leonardo Paletta. Needs to really gear out that second lap, and he's probably been the most aggressive driver so far with that yellow line on the circuit. That is the apron line, and that dictates the difference between a lap being on the oval and a lap not being on the oval. To call it what the racetrack is defined as, makes the run for the line and just goes fastest over Alfredo Morales. We've got it as a dead heat on the timing tower, but by a thousandth, there or thereabouts, Leonardo Paletta is now your fastest driver. It puts Ben Bennyworth into position. He's not been the best qualifier this season, but now you've got the race, and he's just lost it on his first lap. So a huge disaster for Ben. Does put the tail in the wall. And that's what happens when you push, and we have been saying this. This is a tougher circuit, and as he was coming through 1 and 2, what's gone and got him here is he's just dipped the tyres under the apron. That's why he's gone around. That's why all the pace now is gone over the course of this lap. And because that pace is gone, I don't expect this second lap to be anything of relevant value. He was just trying to take too much out to the circuit. You can see he leaves a little bit more room this time as he runs towards 3 and 4. This second lap will count, but I'm not sure in terms of pace how good it's really going to be out there. He's going to make the run, then in towards the home stretch and over the line. So 24.770, definitely not representative. It needs to be another Ben Bennyworth masterclass to get through the field then here today. Alex Everett, Welsh Dynamite, someone who has felt like there was a chance maybe to do what was needed when the top two in the championship put themselves in the right position. It is worth noting David Whitehouse has made it. He has made it, though late. I don't think he is going to be able to qualify out then here today. So Everett, first lap, 24.910, just looking to get himself up to speed. And now this is where he's got to really gear up the lap and try and get as much as he can from it. As things stand, the ALP Motorsports crew are on the front, P1 and P2 at this point. But Everett making his run then, coming towards the line to 24.236, up to pole goes Everett with that time, and an important time at that, because Mr. Qualifying is just about to gear up his first lap. Timothy Stroh, number 44, and has he got the Midas touch where he turns every qualifying lap into gold? That's going to be the all-important question, and this first lap, once again, should be another one of these sighters up on the top side of the circuit, trying to carry as much speed off of the banking of 3 and 4. And as he drops back down the circuit, over 350 clicks at the line, 25.073, the opening lap. Gear it up, right up against the yellow line, just drifting up slightly through 1 and 2, trying to find the lap through 3 and 4. Is this going to be the magic that we've all been expecting here? Timothy Stroh is going to make a dive for the line, 24s to beat, and he does so again. 2:08. He finds pole position, but only for the moment, because the championship leader, the reigning champion, driver with a pretty sizable lead, he's got all of it in the back pocket right now. Thijs Barendregt gearing up the opening lap. Did a 24 flat in practice. We expect that was with the draft. But can he break a 24.2 and take pole position away at this really fast Kentucky Speedway? Another one of these 1.5 milers. And now moving through, a 24.635 will start at least 12th position in this race. Is going to make the drive, stays incredibly low off of 1 and 2. Now this is interesting here. Going to take the middle of the road through 3 and 4. You always have to be careful about scrubbing when you take a much shallower line through this section. But does it pay off? It does not. It's a 3.17. Thijs Barendregt will start from the 4th row of the grid. And that would just be that. So, that brings qualifying pretty much over to a close. And that will now bring us over towards warm-up out here on track. So with that all in mind, we will jump ourselves on over. Timothy Stroh once again will take pole position out there on this circuit, a 24.208, clear by almost 0.03 of a second, clearing Alex Everett out there for Crest Autosport with Apex Tracks. Then it's the two ALP Venezuelans, Paletta ahead of Morales. They are going to be a bit of a fright over the course of this race today, with Dave Steadman, good qualifying for him in 5th, and 6th belonging to Jeremy Pronk. Thijs Barendregt will have to start this race from 7th position, with Nigel Stock in 8th, and Inigo Mardones in 9th position out there on track. Ollie Peters will round out the top 10. Then it's the two 603 Autosport cars of Patrick Linderboom and Stephen de Grevelier. We saw the spin from Ben Bennyworth. That put him in the wrong position, and his lap was a good half a second off the pace. Jamie Dory spinning into the infield. That effectively ruined both his laps out there to try and set. And then David Whitehouse a little bit late to the party, so to say, for Motorsport Magpie Racing. Missed his slot to go out there and race. And as such, he will have to start this one from the back of the field in position number 15 here today. So, warm-up. The last chance to put everything together. We expect this to be a very draft-centric track, and we expect there to be quite a few drivers out there who might be in the wrong position in terms of getting caught up in incidents. It's going to be fast today. We just saw Stroh get caught up in the back end of the incident with one driver out there being Nigel Stock. So not ideal at all, but you've got to try and avoid all these incidents. And I'm pretty sure that everyone has to be on their best behaviour driving. They know how difficult of a track this is. They know how quick an accident can happen and how quickly it can pile up and catch multiple vehicles out. It's a 15-car field tonight, and these 15 know that they have got to put themselves in the best possible position to make this race a reality. If you haven't had the chance to already, like, share and subscribe. You've got more chances to watch some amazing racing action with Crest Autosport. But with a championship lead in the hands of Thijs Barendregt in 7th position in qualifying, this does feel today like another one of these damage limitation races. You always have to be alert to it. You always have to keep in mind what happens with it. And well, what more can you say? What more can you do? Everyone's got themselves a chance to make this race a reality for themselves. It's the sort of track where if you can get a good run sorted, you can break into a rhythm. There are chances here today to really move up and ratchet positions in this place. This is Kentucky Speedway, and Kentucky has been one of the greater races on the calendar with us at Crest Autosport. So put it in the back pocket. Drivers are going to be trying to push as much as they can. They do have to be a little bit alert and concerned here today by a little bit of the pushing here today through the corners. This is what the track looks like here at Kentucky. Partly cloudy skies here today. Not much of a wind to deal with, but a track here which, for all intents and purposes, is a 2.41 kilometre circuit, or a 1.5 miler. And the track temperature you can see right now, 41 degrees. So it's a little bit hotter than what a lot of drivers normally tend to navigate around. So they're dealing with their warm-up, making sure they get that race pace in. Never has it been more important to work out where you want to stop and at what time is the right time. Come in, make that stop, make this race happen. A lot of fuel saving might be needed here as drivers just stay patient if this stays green for a long time. Otherwise, we do get ourselves in the thralls of a caution, then we might have a little bit of drama out there on track. And everyone knows that this is going to be a tough day today. There is the Mercedes-inspired Motorsports Magpie livery of David Whitehouse, who in 3rd position in this at this point in time. He's going to have to do all of his work from the back of the field, and he should be trying to move up forward. Maybe he could even sneak a podium like a certain Lewis Hamilton could. You never know. There's always opportunities out here with races, and we saw that spin to win last time out that really put an all-important race back into perspective. So, checkered flag out then in warm-up. We're going to get ourselves down then towards the starting grid as everyone gets themselves ready for racing here at Kentucky. So, here's how they line up. Timothy Stroh, number 44, will put himself on the pole position. We'll have Alex Everett for company alongside on the front row, with Leonardo Paletta and Alfredo Morales. 3rd and 4th, 2 ALP cars will be together. Dave Steadman will start from 5th, with Jeremy Prong in 6th, Thijs Barendregt in 7th position, the championship leader, and 8th position belonging to Nigel Stock. Inigo Mardones will go from 9th. Ollie Peters rounds out the top 10 with Patrick Linderboom and Stephen de Grevalier for 603 Autosport on row 6. Then you've got Ben Bennyworth, Jamie Dorey, and David Whitehouse making the 15 drivers here today, looking to grid themselves up. Le Mans style start, I guess. Hopefully people can run to their cars, get in and do the pace lap at this point in time. Everyone's got themselves stacked up and ready to go. And this should ultimately be a very, very good race. So we should see how this all plays out in the long and the short. Still got that team's championship to figure out and talk about. We've still got opportunities for that championship overall. Everyone knows that this race is far from, I would say, concluded. Everyone knows that this championship is far from concluded. One small incident could go a long way to making waves in this championship. So, they know they've got the one fast repair. They know they've got plenty of opportunities. But take it as you will. Timothy Stroh needing to bounce back after the contact with Thijs Barendregt put him out of contention at Iowa. How is this going to factor in to the way that he races? Alex Everett alongside him on the top side. Two ALP cars, Jeremy Pronk and Dave Steadman there in 5th and 6th could definitely say something about today. So too could Thijs Barendregt, who's had the ability to run through the field. Keep an eye on Ben Bennyworth as well. He always finds a way to move up positions. Almost uncanny at this point in time. Pace car dives down in. Stroh leads them off and away. Green flag in the air. We are racing here from Kentucky. And immediately it's Alex Everett who's the one in a little bit of trouble out there on track. Because here on the inside, dealing a way through is Leonardo Paletta, and Morales is going to follow. The two teammates going to work together, try and cover this off and put the block in. Does Paletta, it puts Morales through, up into 2nd, maybe 3rd position with that run. The two green machines getting it absolutely spot on, and already troubles for David Whitehouse, sliding, going into the pits as he found the wall, and in the wall. Trouble, caution. Caution comes out immediately. ALP car of Leonardo Paletta in trouble, up high into the wall. Everett was trying to push the margins and thread it through as 3 wide went through, and it just never looked on. Turned him into the wall, and I'm not sure Alex Everett was very happy at the way that the ALP cars constructed that overtake. So a caution comes out, and I have to say that looked like it was a little bit of a tough scenario to try and get it sorted. We'll try and get a replay up of that incident there, but it was always going to be tough. You can see 3 wide pushing in, and Everett tries to duck down, realizes he's effectively navigated too far through to go down to the bottom of the circuit and follow Alfredo Morales, otherwise he'd swipe him out. So has to correct and keep the steering straight. That's why Leonardo Paletta gets the short end of the stick, and why he has to take a tow, and will be now at least a couple of laps down as we are under pacing here, the early caution in the opening couple of laps here at Kentucky Speedway. So it is Stroh who leads. Morales is in 2nd. Everett 3rd. Steadman 4th. Pronk 5th. Barendregt up 1 position right now into 6th place. Bennyworth has already made good progress off of the start. He's up 3 spots now into 10th position. Jamie Dory also up 2 spots in this race as well. So one driver who did go backwards over the course of that start was also going to be Patrick Linderboom. He's down 2. So that all to keep in mind. A little bit of a false start, an aggressive start, but this track is an aggressive track. We expect drivers to be aggressive and try and make places and try and do as much as they can to gain those spots, but they won't mind, especially in the early stages. This will extend out stint life on the opening stint and leave potentially a few more options open and available for people as they go around. So do not count anybody out of this race just yet. There's still a long way to go. Maybe the drivers are lapped down potentially, but I'm sure that there will be some form of reprieve a little bit later on. David Whitehouse, very unlucky, got caught in the pit as the safety car came out. So he is out in the middle of the field, a lap down. And already, after just a couple of laps, he's got a lot of work left to do overall in terms of how this race brings itself forward for him. There's still a long way left though, and Timothy Stroh will happily count off those laps at the front of the field, and there's a good reason why he wants to be doing so at the front. There is bonus points on offer here, ladies and gentlemen, for getting a number of things. If you get the fastest lap over the course of the race, that's a bonus point. If you get yourself the most laps led, that's a bonus point. So you get a bonus point for being the fastest, and you get a bonus point for being the fastest out at the front for the longest. So there you go. A few bonus points. We do like handing them out here and there. So there is some work still to be done, and drivers will want to be aggressive off of what are single file restarts coming up next. Lights still on, of course, on the iRacing sedan safety car. Which means we will be going for at least one more lap around in green flag conditions, or yellow flag conditions, I should say, before we go and jump towards green flag conditions after the pace car dives on in. But a little bit of an opening foray. A few drivers also did gain. Ollie Peters was one of them. He's up a spot at this point, staring at the back of Nigel Stock now. And you are seeing certain drivers having maybe better races compared to others. And Inigo Mardones is definitely catching the eye for me at this point in time. He finds himself up to into 7th position. And this is the sort of race where I feel like Inigo can really shine and take off and effectively go for a top 5 finish, maybe even something a bit more, because he does have sometimes that tendency, that ability to make it work, and it might be that Inigo gets it all worked out with a very, very strong performance. Now into the pits comes Thijs Barendregt. Okay, interesting. Pitting as late as he possibly can, didn't get any damage from any incident. He's just trying to say, well, it's not going to hurt if I pit. I still have to make my way through the field. This is a damage limitation style race. He essentially wants 6 laps on the field, so he has to fill 6 laps less fuel later on in this one. The bad news he's going to potentially have is if this becomes a caution fest, because everyone will come in and get what they want, and this should be a lot easier of a race for him if he is able to manage to, I would say, ascertain a place where he can gain those 6 laps back over the course of some very quick running. It's essentially a free pit stop, but he does drop to the back of the field and will have to get past the likes of Linda Boom and Dory and de Grevelier first in order to make something happen. But we do now know that when it comes to where we are, the lights are off on top of the iRacing sedan safety car. We are going to be going back green. We'll be back green on lap 7 of 100. So, Kentucky with control on number 44, Timothy Stroh. Is he going to be able to do anything to get away early? We know that if you can draft here, you've got a really good opportunity. He'll again launch it early and get the car lengths that he wants. Green flag back in the air. We're underway at Kentucky. Nice and single file then, as everybody manages to navigate their way towards turns 1 and 2, even dealing with the traffic a little bit. Jamie Dory up in 10th position now, trying to figure out here is just in front. Here comes a little look. Ben Bennyworth down the inside of Ollie Peters, and he'll try and sort this one off. He's going to block him off on the exit, but still going to get that run up on the top side, trying to steal that one back once again. So chances there. Side by side as well for second. It was briefly out there on track. So work still to be done. Morales, of course, now the sole remaining car here for ALP, working aggressively on the outside, and effectively Alex Everett with nothing of a run underneath. So having to stay there in that third position. Caution flag for the second time will come out. Is Patrick Linderboom in trouble as he finds himself backwards going through turn 4? There was a little bit of contact between Whitehouse and de Grevelier, so lap traffic getting caught up, and then Linderboom trying to thread the needle, effectively just got the wrong end of the stick, and so he takes a huge hit, and we have ourselves our second straight caution here. So not many laps then have got themselves in the books and underway, and you know what they say, cautions breed cautions in races like these. And we'll get a little look then at what exactly went on. It all started with David Whitehouse. There's the first contact. De Grevelier does well to hold it, and then the gap just closes on Patrick Linderboom. Right way, somehow Thijs Barendregt gets away from that unscathed, and he's had that uncanny ability to do that all season long. But what we can say, and what we can say definitely, is that that'll be an instant to Patrick Linderboom that absolutely he did not want. Rule 1 of sim racing, do not hit your teammate. Didn't really have a choice there as he was trying to dive for the middle gap, and has been able to get himself back around. And crucially, in terms of his car, it doesn't look like it was too damaged. So a bit of a spin despite the contact. Doesn't look really like there's anything there. Into the pits again, though, will come Thijs Barendregt with the number 1 on his basic racing team car. We'll be following in Jamie Dory, who's decided to get service, and why not at this point, I guess, is the right point of contention. We are on lap 11 of this race, so you can get yourself an 11-lap stint in comparison to everyone else. You're still going to be in a really good position, and that, once again, is what you're seeing here from Jamie Dory. Linderboom right now, for comparison, is now a lap down, so that's definitely not good news for him. But the front, again, relatively unchanged. But again, certain drivers just pushing forward, taking positions away. Inigo Mardones at the line would put himself up into 6th position now. So he's really moving forward. Pronk could be next for him. Steadman currently in 4th. Really good for the team's championship right now. 1st and 4th in comparison to 3rd and 9th out there in this race. That would be a nice points haul to increase their championship margin, and they would absolutely love, over the course of 100 laps here today, put themselves in the right position, the T&D, the Timothy and Dave team, to move up as much as possible here, get as many points as they can. Morales out there trying to give everything he possibly can. Once more, a single file restart. 14 runners in this field at the moment. Leonardo Paletta out of the race after his hit on the 2nd lap overall. And we will see the big call of racing today. We will see how this race will be constructed towards the later laps. 2 quick cautions will be doing no good for the tyres on the restarts. They would have gone through 2 heat cycles, wouldn't have had long up there at the very top speeds around this Kentucky Speedway circuit. So they lose temperature, then they rapidly gain temperature, then they lose temperature, then they rapidly gain temperature. It's always concerning. Understeer going to be a cause of concern in the hotter track conditions as well. It's 40 degrees out there on track, so always going to be a little bit of a ooh and ah. How are the tyres going to last? Well, how are the tyres going to last on restarts in these hot conditions? That's always something that I'm sure a lot of drivers are trying to react to, trying to figure out what can we do and how can we set our cars up to be just that little bit easier to work with over the course of the stint. They do have those in-car tools. The anti-roll bar and the weight jacker are very much adjustable out there over the course of a stint. It might just be that drivers have to do that today. They want to try and be victorious. So we're at least getting one more lap here, tucked up behind the pace car. And drivers have all been trying to ascertain what the right decision is over the course of the racing that they're trying to do. So 2 more laps around under safety car conditions, and in comes Nigel Stott to make a pit stop. And on top of that, will be joined by Ollie Peters. Now, they will cycle themselves to the back of the field, but they'll gain an advantage later on. They'll be on pressure tyres than the competitors in front, so they'll get a natural advantage there. And again, it is that we can make a pit later on. We don't have to necessarily worry too much about what happens around us. So both Stock and Peters looking to try and roll the dice a little bit. And along with Thijs Barendregt and Jamie Dory, who knows, it might work out there overall for them today. Lights off, now on top of the pace car, so we will go green this next time by. We back to racing on lap 14 out of 100. Stroh, Morales, Everett, Steadman, Pronk. That's your top 5 as things look, but do not rest on it, because it might just turn away from the top 5 pretty quickly. Pace car is going to move off left off of the circuit. We're going to go back to green flag running. Morales was a little slow to react initially, and he's got to be a little bit quicker than that if he wants to go. And there goes again one Mr. Timothy Stroh. Green flag in the air. We're back underway at Kentucky Speedway. And here in Sparta, the top three have already once again built the gap and broken away over the course of the opening stages. Everett trying to give chase here and move up that place and gain second away from Alfredo Morales. He was trying earlier on. It hasn't quite paid out in dividends early, but he'll want to try and claw back on, get that back again. Morales closing in on Stroh on top of that. Always something there. 3 wide almost at the very back of the field between Nigel Stock, Ollie Peters and Patrick Linderboom. Linderboom a lap down, trying to stay in tow, in position at this point with his teammate de Gravelier just in front. Remember, Linderboom is a lap down. If he can get to the front of the field, he gets his lap back, which is something very, very important with this race. And as they run through towards turns 1 and 2 once again, up on the high side there was a search. There's Ollie Peters just behind these 3 drivers and just trying to find what absolutely works. Jamie Dory's had a great start. He's already up into 8th position, moving through it. So does Thijs Barendregt. Up high goes Nigel Stock. He can't quite find the pass that is very much there at this point in time. It's going to be a long road to find it on the high line. Through 1 and 2. No chance. So has to wait. Still a long way to go just yet. Jeremy Pronk, he's looking behind himself at the moment because he's got 2 for company. One is Inigo Mardones, the other is Ben Bennyworth, who absolutely wants to be in this sort of company. It's the sort of company he's been thriving on all season long and why it has him moving up the championship order. So he's definitely doing a good job of things and he's trying, but meanwhile, you look at these 2, Thijs Barendregt and Jamie Dory, fighting for position, next gen versus basic racing team. And the basic racing team driver will move on through into that 8th position. Again, trying around the outside to make it happen, doesn't work. Battle on for the race lead though. Alfredo Morales has looked really good at chasing down Timothy Stroh. Has pulled about a half a second here from Alex Everett. Can't quite manage it this time, but he's definitely got number 44 a little bit in the mirrors at this point. In the sights, can he line up that overtake and move over towards the race lead? Pretty much covered, moving through into 3 and 4 for the front 2 in this field. They know this is still a long race and anything is very much possible if you are not alert to it and you're not alert to losing out a couple things here and there. Moving through 1 and 2 again, you can see just how much more that he can just hug that line through 1 and 2, but all of a sudden there comes the draft. But again with the 1.5 milers, can be tough to try and make that pass, can be tough to try and find a way through. Everett will be starting to look backwards and suddenly a position changes. Ben Bennyworth moves through on Inigo Mardones. That puts Mardones back into 7th position. And Ben Bennyworth up from 13th on the grid now to 6th, a gain of 7. So passes are plenty out there on track. And now it's about keeping yourself in line, not doing anything that you don't need to do. Just concentrate, just focus, and the race should come back to you. There is the Prime Motorsports car of Ben Bennyworth. He tries to navigate his way through. Top 2 still battling though. Stroh and Morales out there on circuit, trying to give what they can here. They move on to lap 24 of 100, almost a quarter of the way through. Here comes Nigel Stock though, to the inside of Jamie Dory through the tri-oval. Manages it, moves up another position. So all important. Worth noting, David Whitehouse back in the pits. His day is done as he got off of the wall and effectively elected to park the car. So Whitehouse done. pulling the car off then to the side of the track near the nearest marshal's post. No need to call a caution for that one as he got out of the way safely. Still, here's Dave Steadman in 4th position, trying to work around the outside of Alex Everett here. Brilliant work. Has he managed to unlock this as an overtake? This is a big moment for the team's championship if Steadman can get ahead. But he can't for the moment, so he'll have to be patient. All the while, the group behind slowly reeling them in. 1.2 seconds down low this time from Dave Steadman is going to get the job done, but Everett's going to take that run back on the high line. Nose to tail. And a little bit of side-by-sides. They go up through 1 and 2. A little bit of pinching here from Alex Everett, trying to make sure there's no angle to brake. And they are getting incredibly close here as they run to 3 and 4. Everett's going to take the uber high line, trying to get the pick-off run off of the exit. And I think he's just about to manage it here. And he's going to retain the place. So some good battling then on the cards as they go through. Gap remains 1.1 to Jeremy Pronk just behind. Still though, you can see Inigo Mardones trying to get back into play. Trying to work it out on the high line. Trying to make that pass. And at least for the moment, it's going to run out of track to manage that for the moment. Trying to go up top. Almost contact there. Mardones well within lane. So too Ben Bennyworth. And the focus now is on pure survival in this very, very difficult race. Again, Ben Bennyworth, Prime Motorsport car, really trying to stay with Jeremy Pronk, but Pronk's got his head down and the bit between his teeth, and that's what's making Ben Bennyworth's life a little bit harder. The fact he's struggling a little more to follow within the same wheel tracks. He will again drop down low though through the circuit, and he'll gain a little bit of time by doing so, taking the more conventional line of the two out there. Lead gap all of a sudden out over a second. Tells you how much race pace Timothy Stroh has in comparison to Alfredo Morales. But there is your race leader. And what a sterling drive this has been so far from him. He's just driving as if the car's on softs all the time. Or is the car is driving pretty much on rails. Certainly proving what he's worth out there. And you've got Jeremy Pronk, who is in 5th position. And really just looking behind him. Got Ben Bennyworth there. 3-car scrap, 4-car scrap now actually, because on the back starting to latch on is Thijs Barendregt, who already in the space of about 20 laps has proven that it was a correct decision to come in and make that stop as he tries to notch off another couple overtakes as quickly as he possibly can. So Thijs running up the top side of the circuit, trying to unlock what he needs to. Ben Bennyworth is there right now, and Morales is absolutely falling off a cliff at the moment compared to everyone he is around. He has dropped 0.3 on that last lap to Stroh, and Everett is catching back up again. So just the 2 retirees from this race, 1 driver a lap down. A lot of miniature packs forming around this place. There's the battle on 10th and 11th between De Grevelier, for example, and Jamie Dory. There is Stephen De Grevelier in the number 23 machine. Has Jamie Dory for a little bit of company. And at least right now, Dory just happy to run his own race. Still has trouble behind, as that will be Linda Boom up top. Just about avoiding the wall there. Looked for certain that was not going to turn in any meaningful way, shape or form, which would have been concerning out there in terms of this race. But all about perspective right now and battles. Great battles at that. There is Pronk, P5. still maintaining the gaps between Mardones and Bennyworth. There is Inigo Mardones in the Necky Racing Team car. He's trying to figure out what he can do. But here in the battle for second, Everett all over Alfredo Morales. This to move on forward to second. On the high line, trying to work it back down low. And now, how much of a drive can you get moving to 3 and 4? The answer is a monstrous one. Here comes the move. Thank you very much on the inside. Has to move on up to try and cover it. But Morales is having none of it. And they'll drive pretty much even keel over the line. Morales slightly ahead. And they'll move through 1 and 2 once again. This time Everett trying to clear. Has managed to clear, but Morales this time thinking better of lunging immediately back down towards the inside. And as such, move is pass scored and completed. With Morales now in second, in third now, Everett up to second. All of this battling brought Dave Steadman back into it here. And golly, he would love to try and go through, especially on lap 40 on a longer green run, and get what he wants. So in the pit, would be Ben Bennyworth. He's just left the pit in terms of making his stop. So made the conscious decision to dive down into the pits. He'll now be a lap down. But how much of this was the right decision? Because he is going to be at least 1 lap down at this point in time. That's the driver of Tim Stroh, who he's there with. 24-9. And definitely a I need to hold on moment to absolutely everything. Finds himself behind Patrick Linderboom now, which means at threat of being put 2 laps down. There's a frightening concept. Still though, traffic can sometimes play its factor and play its role in races. Shouldn't expect to see too much of that though here today. Timothy Stroh, your race leader, has led every single lap so far. If he can just get to lap 51 in the lead, he would have led every lap so far. He would get the bonus point. Jeremy Pronk, still there in P5. Still having to be a little bit concerned about the pace of Inigo Mardones. 24.8 that last time by. Took about a 10.5 away, which would be a little bit of a fright. 24.8 again for Mardones. A 25 flat for Pronk. So there is that. Certainly could still happen. So too could this battle on track for third position. Steadman trying to find a way through. And at least right now, up on top, trying to work on forward. Not quite there just yet. Now trying to move down low, onto the inside. Thank you very much. It's not guaranteed yet because he'll struggle off the exit. And that's why Alfredo Morales running the uber high line has certainly paid off that move. And stays very comfortably in the right position. There is still that though. I am curious to see what Ben Bennyworth's times have been since he came out on track once again. He was doing 24.7s and 24.8s. He did a 24.4 on lap 33, so he's definitely a drive to keep an eye out on. Mardones continuing to stay close here to Jeremy Pronk. And a legit battle out on track. Mardones going down low. Going down low without finding anything of any note really. So again, patience play is needed. And Ollie Peters right now is about to be put a lap down in this race. And is. And that could have been a little scary, knowing that a certain Alex Everett would love a little bit of help from his friends just to try and delay Stroh, who is now 4 seconds down the road. Very tough to delay a driver on this track. But Steadman, how close to the wall do you want to go? Have some Noah's Ark Sim Racing, 2 wide, 2 deep as they go in. Because you've got Mardones versus Pronk. Pronk wins the the second battle. Dave Steadman wins the first. So Steadman up to third. Crucial, 2 on the podium for T&D. And then you've got Pronk and Mardones. Let's have a little look then. See the pass constructed in action. All about how you get a run. Almost hits the wall on the outside. Ducks down low. Mardones stuck up there on the top side, dealing with a little bit of rubber build-up and trying to make the uber high line work. And through it all, he's managed to do pretty well with it. Another little look from Inigo Mardones as he tries to navigate his pass beyond Pronk, and now sights firmly set on Morales here as they go 2 wide towards 1. And Inigo Mardones, just after the halfway stage, moves through. So, passes are plenty. Let's listen in, hear some of the sounds of these wonderful Dallara machines as the pit stop cycle just about starts to start with Patrick Linderboom as here comes the move. Pass, score completed, and look behind because Pronk comes into the pit, and that's Thijs Barendregt on the back of this group. So Thijs is absolutely flying, and almost a block thrown by Morales, who's struggling. Everett's going to dive in then. He's going to make his stop along with the leader, Timothy Stroh. So he's coming in as well. Top 2, both in the pits. Morales also follows, so it puts up to the front Dave Steadman for a bit. But Stroh has done his job. He's got an extra bonus point in the back pocket, leading 55 laps of this race. There's no way anyone's going to take that away from him now. He goes right down to the end of the lane, and in will come Dave Steadman to make his stop, which puts Inigo Mardones on the front of the field for just a bit longer. Off and away goes Stroh. Should be good between now and the end of this race. We've also got a bit of a scrap here between Ben Bennyworth and Jamie Dory. Dory still needs to come in and make a stop. So not necessarily in the position, but Bennyworth will actually leapfrog Morales in the stop. That's a pretty big jump when you consider. So Ben Bennyworth gaining a bit, is ahead of Pronk, is ahead of Morales, and the early stop has certainly worked. Mardones then making the call that he's going to be diving down into the pits this lap, and Thijs Barendregt is just going to fly on by with those, I would say, 11 laps extra that he's got. Heavy on the brakes goes Inigo as he hits his marks. He dives into the pits. Nigel Stock, then Jamie Dory and Ollie Peters, the 4 drivers who pitted early under the second caution. Well, they're in the prime position right now. Take a shorter stop, get themselves back into position in this race. That will be what they're trying to figure out at this point. Meanwhile, your net race leader currently in 6th position right now. That is Timothy Stroh. We still wait to see where Inigo Mardones will come out in comparison to everybody else. And he just about leaves his pit lane now. He'll be behind Alex Everett as he tries to drive up to speed. He'll be behind both Dave Steadman and Ben Bennyworth, so that's huge. Steadman leapfrogged by Bennyworth. But here comes the move back. Down the inside. Yoink. Dave Steadman back up to net 3rd with that pass. How much of a pass will that be when you know that Barendregt is still yet to pit? Nigel Stock might have something to say. Ollie Peters might have something to say. A lot of drivers want to do the right thing, want to put themselves in the right positions. But still a long way to go just yet. Not out of the woods. Dave Steadman holding on against one Mr. Ben Bennyworth. Lap 61 of 100. After 2 aggressive cautions, we haven't seen much. Now in comes Peters, technically a lap behind one Mr. Thijs Barendregt. So now it becomes a chase, and it becomes a question of how much fuel does Thijs need to put in the car, and where is he going to jump up in comparison to everybody else. So all everyone's looking at right now, how much time does Thijs need to stay in the pits? Jamie Dory, who was in the race lead, or has just taken the race lead, he's also going to dive right now into the pits. Everyone on the same piece of real estate. Barendregt trying to leave the pit. There will go Alex Everett. There will go Dave Steadman and Ben Bennyworth. A little bit of work needed then for Thijs Barendregt, who's going to come out exactly where he was with Jeremy Pronk and Alfredo Morales, who is already up to speed, mind you. So too Inigo Mardones, the Venezuelan and the Spaniard against the reigning champ. Dory in the pits means that Timothy Stroh will now regain the race lead. Thijs Barendregt able to hold for the moment, but he does have the advantage on tyre life in comparison to his competitors. Lap 63 of 100, all drivers should be good from now to the end. And Morales down low, because Ollie Peters here, who's a lap down, is trying to charge his way back through the field. Mardones just behind him, 2.7 seconds, the margin at the front for Stroh, with Everett trying desperately to give chase. Steadman in third, and some good battling as they run around 1 and 2, nose to tail, 3 drivers in a row. And just in front of that, you've got Barendregt and Pronk, now split by almost next to nothing. Figure it out on the high side, made a great pass last week at Iowa, did Thijs. And he'd absolutely love to do that again, but he can't find the magic. At least can't find the magic at the moment. Again, this time searching low, and it's covered. It's covered well by Jeremy Pronk, who's deciding, you know what, whichever way you go, I'll go. Mardones still on the back of the winner from last time out, Alfredo Morales. A long way from this race being completed in a manner of finality. But, and it is a pretty big but at that, but how do you make your way to the end knowing that those tyres are going to fall off in the hot conditions? That's going to be a little concerning, especially when cars have been very happy to loop themselves around today. So there is Thijs Barendregt trying to move up past Jeremy Pronk to get to 5th place. He's 7.5 seconds down on the race lead. Through 3 and 4. On to the front stretch. Moving up high. How close you want to go? The two Dutch drivers absolutely giving each other racing room and a little bit less. Switch back, up and under, cross the beams into 3 and 4. A very good battle between these two, and Thijs Barendrecht's going to pick it off. But for how much longer? Because Pronk will now have a turn. Trying to search for the angle up top. Not quite able to manage it. So good racing, good hard racing between these two. They sort their troubles out without too much really getting in the way of their race. So, got side by side as well, as here is Mardones trying to get through on Morales. He's got the nose at the line. But does he through 1 and 2? Inigo holding on after making the move. Who's looked really good in the opening stint. Tries to duck down low. Still trying. And, wiggle for one. Mr. Inigo Mardones holds the car in the race at the cost of the position, though, which is the real shame. Now you're starting to see the struggles of pitting early for one Ben Bennyworth. Here comes Thijs Barendregt on the inside. Thank you very much, and that's now 4th position for one of the hardest chargers in the field in the form of Ben Bennyworth. So Barendregt moving through, doing what he does best, which is damage limitation and finding advantages where other drivers can't. So he's managed it again. It's a couple seconds down the road to get to Dave Steadman. My goodness, would he love to do so inside the final 30 laps of this race. He knows what he wants, and as drivers try and figure out where can they get that extra 1 position in the final stages of a race, you feel that some drivers are just going to get a little more aggressive out there. There's Jeremy Pronk. He's in 6th position right now. He's got Bennyworth in his sights. And just behind him, trying to make a way through, is Ollie Peters a lap down. So, over the line. Ollie right up underneath. The last thing that you ever want is a driver behind you who is laps down, trying to take that place back. But Ollie has seemingly found a little bit of something out there. A bit of form, maybe, perhaps. And let's not forget, this battle for the race lead has not strayed off. In fact, that gap has come down over that last lap. Timothy Stroh, it's now 2 seconds at the front of the field. And it didn't look like there was anything too much wrong with that last lap going through. A little bit of traffic maybe, might be the only saving grace, but here comes Pronk. Looking down low on Ben Bennyworth. They'll move through the tri-oval. Try and find that attack through turns 1 and 2. And it looks like that is going to be managed with that pass. Good work there, being sorted. Gap down at the front, under 1.7 seconds as Mardones looks to fight again with Alfredo Morales. The two ends out there together, trying to give what they can. And Mardones just etching out wider a little bit. Not quite exactly what was expected. Stroh, though, gap now under 1.5. Everett is absolutely charging back through. He still thinks he's got a chance to win this race and keep his title hopes alive by whatever margin he can. 1.3 and under now. It goes. Stroh cannot match this pace. You've still got Morales and Mardones side by side. This time in through 1 and 2. Morales still holding. But Mardones not giving up. He'll go high again in towards 3 and 4. On lap 78, going on to lap 79 now. Around the outside, thank you very much. Beautifully done. Inigo Mardones. Race lead gap is now around a second because through on de Grevelia goes Alex Everett. He gets a place and now he's just got to latch on to Timothy Stroh. Might be slightly trying to fuel save a little bit. Might be in the back of the mind. 9/10 of a second. So, wake up. This might be time. Well, this race really alerts itself. Barendregt as well is closing in on Dave Steadman at a rate of knots. Took nearly 2/10 out of him that last lap. So, they're all starting to make moves here for first and for third. We're not out of the realms of possibility just yet. Gap for the lead down under 8/10 of a second. Gap between these two down to 4/10 of a second now. What is with the set right now for the T&D cars? They look like they're struggling late on in this stint. Stroh running all the way around the high side of the circuit, trying to get some form of a run, but that gap's coming down to under 3/10 of a second. Everett is on rails. And can Welsh Dynamite break through? Of course, had the issue and almost in the wall there, trying to get some turn is Timothy Stroh. He wants everything he can out of this circuit. Now he's got to play with that dirty air. Really force Everett to struggle. Mardones now through on Ben Bennyworth, who's having to dive down in again. And that might be really telling here today if drivers have to pit a second time. That would be incredibly telling. So Bennyworth having to pit again. Barendregt down low. Riding back up the track. Steadman working that high line. And Steadman ahead at the line, but Barendregt having to manoeuvre a little bit. He wasn't quite getting everything he wanted. He'll try and figure it out again on that low side. Is he still there? Does he still need it through 3 and 4? The answer is yes. And now will he move up? Just as one Dave Steadman will move down. Absolutely. Steadman having to go low, almost onto the apron. Barendregt lets him go and have it. It was close. And a little bit of a block from Thijs, who's immediately on the radio to say, sorry, didn't mean it. But now here's something interesting at the front. Jamie Dorey has been a huge lifeline here in terms of this race for Timothy Stroh, who I think's back on the burners here, trying to build a gap inside the final 15. Everett knows it's a long way yet, but we are still well into this race. Driver upon driver is trying everything. How much of the tyres have been burnt from Alex Everett trying to chase the gaps down? There's the battle for third on the screen. Dave Steadman trying to get back past Thijs Barendregt, the championship leader. Gets a really strong run, and the door has to be left open on that low side. Great effort, and they'll get traffic as well in the form of the 603 Autosport car of de Grevelier. They'll have to navigate a way around it. They'll both have to go low. Barendregt will be able to hold for at least a couple more laps out there in this one. Half a second. The margin for Alex Everett to chase down with 13 laps. The baker's dozen left to go. He knows how important it is if he can pick up a victory. He's been a bridesmaid too often this season. On the wrong side of Lady Luck quite a few times this season. Stroh has been a qualifying machine, made a couple mistakes, and that's the only reason why he doesn't have the lead of the championship. You look behind, this is going to be interesting right now. That's Ben Bennyworth, who's just come out of the pit. So Everett, if he can, should shuffle away on through. Steadman's really lost time behind the lap traffic, so that battle for third is gone. Now it's about how do you use a quicker car to make the pass. Lap 90. 11 laps left. Trying up, trying under. Ben Bennyworth will comfortably dispatch to the race leader, Timothy Stroh. Bring a lap back. He's only 1 lap down now as he will chase down his next driver, which will be Ollie Peters, about halfway around the circuit. So, still on for that race lead. Gaps have really opened up otherwise. Pronk and Mardones still closing that battle for 5th and 6th. So, keep that in mind as well. The battle for 1st and 2nd and 5th and 6th still on in the final stages here at Kentucky, the 8th round of the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. But every time Alex Everett gets close, Timothy Stroh stretches the gap. Side by side it was, and still is, for that 5th place. Mardones down on the inside, having probably one of his best runs in the Crest Autosport Series. He gets the move done on Pronk. And there's not much that the Dutchman can do about the Spaniard. Easy pass. Move complete. All of this, though, look who's jumping on the back all of a sudden. It's Thijs Barendregt. And with 7 laps to go, he took 0.6 of a second that last time on the leaders. He is going full bore, trying to win this one. And what a coup it would be in this race. He looked like he was nowhere in this one. He might have a shot of victory here today. Moving through. How much did he take this lap? 24.9, little slower. Took another 10, down to a second. Top 3 are all there. This is simply majestic at this point in time. They'll soon be starting lap 95. And they know any time inside the 5 laps, 2 laps to go, if a caution comes out, the race is over. On the last lap, there will be no cautions because they will race it out to the checkered flag. Still those gaps remain. Half a second to the lead to second. About 0.4 second to third. He did exactly this last week, did Thijs Barendregt, late on in the race, finding the pass on Everett, who understeers out high up the circuit through 3 and 4, and this gives Thijs a chance. Mardonis and Pronk continue their scrap as well further back, but here comes Barendregt, trying to go around the outside, trying to put the power down, and it's going to be for the second straight week. He goes around the outside of Alex Everett. Oh, brilliant stuff from Thijs Barendregt. Now he can set his sights on the race leader. Timothy Stroh, you're in trouble. He's there already with 4 laps to go. And again, he will go for the move around the outside. He's got fresher tyres. He's burning that fuel. Mardonis has to pit. And now through goes Thijs Barendregt into the lead. Is his number right? With 3 laps to go. Stroh has been diligently fuel saving. Everett's been fuel saving. Some drivers are reaching a stage where they can't make it on fuel. Morales, I think, might be one of them as he lets through Nigel Stock. Everyone struggling to hit a number today. Except this guy, Thijs Barendregt, who, remember, pitted on lap 11 and wouldn't have had fuel worries over the course of this race with the way the cautions fell out. 2 laps to go. And probably nothing to worry about. The one thing he definitely wants now is Everett to get past Stroh, but I'm not sure he's going to get that. As the white flag comes along, Nigel Stock can't make it on fuel. He has to pit. So are there going to be dramas of drivers spluttering over to the line? Don't expect any from this driver. He's had the ability to run flat out over the course of this race. Through 3 and 4. Thijs Barendregt has just out-strategized the field. He'll come to the line at Kentucky and extend his championship lead. Stroh will be heartbroken in second. He led all bar 3 laps in terms of this race that really counted for this one. He'll take second. Everett will take third. My oh my, Thijs has just pulled the wool over everybody's eyes in this field. What an important race win that is. Oh my goodness. It's a big oh my in terms of how that race needed to be constructed. The 2 early cautions putting a huge dent in terms of this race. It was a battle where those at the back of the field, remember, Barendregt pitted, the only one to pit under the first caution, and he'll take his donut down there to symbolise his victory here today at Kentucky. And we're not too far from St. Patrick's Day. He's just put a 4-leaf clover down on the track, which is really something special to see. But let's get a look at official classified results then here from the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. The victory here at Kentucky is Thijs Barendregt. He picks up the victory by 1.3 seconds in the end over Timothy Stroh, getting the pass done with 3 laps to go and managing to make the strategy call work in a level of genius here today. Alex Everett will take 3rd position. He gave Timothy Stroh a race all the way to the end, but couldn't quite manage anything, with Dave Steadman 4th, T&D pick up a big, I would say, boon in the team's championship. Jeremy Pronk will finish 5th, with Alfredo Morales in 6th position, struggling quite a bit today. Jamie Dory, give some credit to Jamie Dory, stayed on the leading lap of this race. He takes 7th position after starting this race in 14th. And then drivers a lap down. Stephen de Grevelier will finish 8th. Ollie Peters in 9th. Ben Bennyworth had to pit twice. He rounds out the top 10. Mardonis and Stock also had to pit twice today, so they are in 11th and 12th. Patrick Linderboom will be 2 laps down. And then the 2 retirees, David Whitehouse, and the big one being Leonardo Paletta after contact with Alex Everett. So an important bit of racing that's come through. We're going to jump in, have a little bit of a chat with Thijs Barendregt, who's come away with the victory. Thijs, it looked like in terms of this race, when you came down in for the stop on that opening caution, that it looked like there was some level of optimism to fall back in the field. We see you pit again at the second caution, and we think, wow, this is damage limitation, surely. But to come away knowing that everyone else is going to be low on fuel and you can go all out, how crucial was that to play the strategy game today?
Yeah, so I didn't exactly know the fuel number, but I knew you couldn't make it to the end from that caution onwards if you stayed out. So I was like, I'm gonna pit and I'm gonna try it, and then the second caution came out, and that really helped the other guys to get to the halfway point and pit and make it. But I think the most important part of it was fresh tires in the end. I think I had like 10 laps fresher tires than like most of the field, and I really I don't know, with like 30 to go, I really figured out how to use the higher line in 3 and 4, and it really helped me.
So that understanding of the circuit being really crucial, how important is it today, not only to see the leading duo in the final few laps of the race, but to not only make the pass on Alex Everett around the outside again, but to, on top of that, make that all-important move, get past Timothy Stroh and say, effectively, championship comes through you first. You've got to beat me, and you've got many different tools in the arsenal to pick up the victories.
It's absolutely mental to do such a move, because you just don't know what's happening. And Alex was in my ear like, I'm pushing up, because he started to have so much understeer. I was actually afraid that we would wreck, and it was pretty close. And for Timothy, yeah, he's so good, and I think it's just a little bit of luck and good guessing on my part, and a bit of bad luck for him again. But the racing, these guys are so good, and it's very nice to beat them to the finish line.
Second race of the two of the Road Course Cup coming up then 1 week from today. Laguna Seca, the place to head to. In terms of how you've been driving, it looks like you've been really good out there on the roads. How crucial of a race is it going to be at Laguna Seca? Do you feel like that's the sort of place where you can really start thinking about the championship if you can get a good result there?
Yeah, I do think so. First of all, I really want to win the Road Cup, so sorry Alex if you're listening to this, but I'm gonna try to beat you no matter what. And Lars is back, so that it's gonna really help me. So I'm really looking forward to next week. It's gonna be a very different challenge than Watkins Glen, which was a lot easier to pass and a lot quicker than this. It's gonna be a very hard race next week.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Thijs, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Well, BRT has done an amazing job, and the Mega Group as well. So thanks to them.
Thijs Barendregt then taking a huge step forward with that sort of result. We are going to jump in with Alex Everett, third position overall. Now, Alex, that looked like you were just sat on the cusp. You were closing in on Timothy Stroh, had that opportunity just to stay in behind. It looked like you just hit the buffers at the wrong time, and then all of a sudden, almost like a shark, like Jaws approaching behind you, Thijs Barendregt.
Yeah. Thijs did it again. He picked the right strategy. I think if we had a few more cautions in the middle part of the race, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But I saw Thijs come and I thought, it's deja vu again. It's Iowa over again. So I said to Thijs, just go. Just go around me, because I couldn't go up on the higher line, just didn't have enough grip. I had no other arguments at that point. I just had to keep plugging away, trying to get Tim, and it just wasn't enough in the end, sadly. Tim knew where to place his car, and I run out of tyres with 10 laps to go. So there was only so much I could do. It's a tricky speedway, is Kentucky. For that reason, dealing with tyre wear and dirty air is next to impossible.
Let's talk though all the way back in the opening stages of the race. It looked like a very well coordinated move from the ALP drivers against you off of the opening start, but lap 2 comes around and it almost looked like you tried to put your nose in, and didn't have enough room to back out of it again. Just talk us through your incident with Leonardo.
It might have looked like that, but my point of view was on turn 3 the lap before, they boxed me into the wall, which I wasn't particularly happy about. And I went for a gap in the middle, and as I started to put that car in the gap, they started to close the gap. And you can't just stamp on the brakes in these Indy cars. So there was no way of me avoiding it. I'd say that's on them. I think them two themselves should look at the incident and think, we probably could have prevented that. We probably could have got through the corner a little bit wider from each other, and we all would have come out of that. And I probably would have ended up staying in 4th place, and they would have carried on in 2nd and 3rd. It would have been a completely different race for all of us then. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
It definitely is a take of sorts, and we definitely enjoy hearing your side of things when incidents come out, Alex. But let's talk Road Course Cup, okay? Because you have the lead in that. It's Laguna Seca next week. If this championship is over overall, by the way that Thijs and Timothy have been driving all season, have been the two starlets of the field, how important is it for you to get a good result at Laguna Seca next week?
I did hear Thijs in his interview. I'm out to beat him next week. That's for certain. Like you said, it's probably a little bit out of reach now, unless I can pull a worldie out to Gateway or Chicago. Chicago's a little bit of a lottery though, as is Indy. So it's looking a bit out of reach now. So the Road Course Cup is what I'm clinging on to now. I'm going to go for it. Thijs is going to go for it. So it's going to be a good race.
Certainly is. Floor is yours here, Alex. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Shout out to Apex Tracks yet again. 603 Autosport was fielding a team for this championship as well. Haven't mentioned them much this season. There's their mention. And all of our other sponsors as well. And we've got a new sponsor coming on board very soon. So looking forward to announcing them as well.
And we are here as well. Alex Everett there joining us for the ride. 3rd position overall, and always a pleasure to have a conversation with him. But that will just about do it for us then tonight here from the Kentucky Speedway, and we know where next our generation is. Our next port of call, the Road Course Cup, comes up a week from today, and we will be jumping with a whole heap of fun to the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Make sure to check that out 1 week from today here with us at Crest Autosport, wherever you've been watching YouTube, be it Facebook, be it Twitch. Make sure you like, you follow, you subscribe, you do all of those all-important things to get yourself sorted. Massive thanks has to go to everyone who's been putting this together at Crest Autosport, as well as some of our sponsors, Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, the GP Box, Uncle Luke's Sign and Sticker Shop, and on top of that, you've got Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall-art racetrack sculpture designers who manufacture using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies. From William Foyle on cameras, myself, Jake Sparey, it's been a pleasure to bring you all of this action, but it's a bit of tactical genius that has got today sorted. It looked like it was plain sailing from moment 1 to last for Timothy Stroh. He led all throughout up until his pit stop, masterminded the cycle and got everything he wanted. But that car there, a Basic Racing Team, Thijs Barendregt, he is so difficult to stop when he is in fantastic form like this. Can he be stopped when it comes to the road course? The Road Course Cup gets decided next time out, so we'll see you in Salinas, California.